Market trends. I'll cover off a few of the market trends which we're currently seeing. And this is nothing new, and actually the statistics pretty much confirm exactly what this room was showing, that digital transformation holds great promise. And over 81% of organisations believe that digital transformation is important or very important to their business. And it's interesting because the statistics in this room alone, when we were doing the first question, were pretty much exactly on par. So New Zealand and the rest of the world are on the same track. Reshaping the modern enterprise. So when we look at digital transformation, it's something that affects every part of a business. And it can actually radically transform how the business operates. And what's interesting is that it follows a sort of circular path and a continuous improvement path, whether you're talking about customer experience, product and service innovation, distribution, sales and marketing of those products, digital fulfillment, risk optimization, and enhanced control. Digital transformation actually touches all of those areas, and continual improvement in all of those areas really transforms the business. Today, there's been obviously a lot of discussions about RPA and emergence of RPA. This is very, very simplistic, and there's been more depth already covered. What is driving RPA? And it's really fast and simple and effective deployments in many cases, puts the emphasis on content and raises awareness for content challenges. And most importantly, as far as Abby is concerned, it creates demand for content intelligence and new opportunities based on existing capabilities. So where Abby has been focusing is actually creating easily consumable content intelligence delivery into the RPA processes. Something that I won't be covering in much depth today, but it's something that we have been heavily engaged on, and that's actually creating skills and the concept of skills for robots. And by skills, I'm talking anything from simple skills like simple OCR to more complex skills like classification or data extraction, and then combining all of those into more advanced skills and more specific skills like invoice processing or forms processing or anything else that can be a combined skill. And what we're doing is actually making it very easy for organisations and RPA platforms and BPM platforms to consume those skills and create intelligent robots, or robots that have cognitive skills in order similar to what humans would have. And I'm not talking about being able to make decisions, but being able to automate repetitive tasks. And repetitive tasks with documents that don't have much structure or much ability to actually be digitally transformed easily or utilise that data. Why are organisations investing into RPA? Well, it's quite simple, and these statistics are once again very similar to what's been shown. And as a subset of cubicle employment, it's expected that by 2021, the RPA market alone will be $2.9 billion, which is quite significant, obviously. And one of the key things here, as we've already spoken about, is really increased capacity, because all of us are being more and more overwhelmed with the amount of data coming into organisations, the amount of documents, the amount of forms, the amount of customer interactions. And how do you, in this digital world, how do you make sense of all of this data that's being thrown at us? RPA is one of those tools, and certainly cognitive RPA and the ability to have content intelligence within RPA actually drives increased capacity, delivers savings, and obviously delivers accuracy and reduces processing times. This is a very, very interesting statistic that out of all RPA use cases currently, only 20% of those use cases utilise structured content or data that is accessible. And that's actually structured data. So the biggest saving and the biggest application is actually in the inaccessible dark data that RPA could actually bring value in, and that's where content intelligence really comes into its foray. And the use cases that I'm talking about in terms of semi-structured content, we're talking about invoices, purchase orders, HR documents, contracts, mortgage apps, and so on. So all of these documents are semi-structured or unstructured documents, and in order for RPA to be able to add value, as Russell earlier pointed out, it needs structured content. So how do you actually get structured content from these semi-structured documents? And that's where the value of content intelligence comes into it. And content intelligence is AI applied to content. That's our new mantra where, as I've already mentioned, we are going to the market and being the thought leaders in creating this new subsection of AI, which we're calling content intelligence. Organisations are trying to understand what AI means to their business, and it can mean many, many different things, especially when we add in new and upcoming technologies in those 10 sectors that Professor Wilcox was talking about earlier, while searching for solutions to make content structured and actionable. So for us, it's all about content intelligence and actually getting structured and actionable data out of the content that your organisation already holds or new content that's coming into the organisation, and how do you work with it effectively. Tying everything together. So RPA plus content intelligence in our world equals digital transformation. So when you combine the two technologies or the two platforms, that's where you're actually going to receive the greatest value, and you'll be able to address the most number of different use cases within the organisation. As I mentioned in one of the previous slides, only 20% of current RPA use cases are purely dealing with structured data. So there are 80% of other use cases. And interestingly, Carol actually pointed out that that's the next step on your journey, looking at some of the processes that require that content intelligence. And that's actually a much greater application, and usually a much more labour-intensive and time-intensive process within organisations. So there are significant savings in both time and delivery capability that can be achieved if you look at the content intelligence part as part of your RPA and digital transformation as well. That's the end of my presentation.